Hi, everyone. If you've just joined, thank you for joining us for exploring new line item capabilities on Beeswax. This is a webinar that will cover some improvements that we've made in the line item functionalities within the platform to make campaign creation much quicker, easier, and more efficient for you. This is being recorded and it will be sent out to everyone who signed up following the session so that you can reference it in the future. My name is Erin Jeffery. I am the Senior Marketing Manager for Beeswax, and I'm joined here by Joey Gudzak, who is the Product Manager on the line item V2 creation. Let's move forward with our agenda. We're going to get started with line item V2, showing a demo, and then we'll walk you through all of the options and updates that we have in place for line item V2, as well as some resources. And then we'll end with a Q&A. So as Joey walks you through the demo and through all of the resources, feel free to add some questions to the chat so that he can answer them at the end. And we'll get to as many questions as we possibly can. And then if your question is not answered, you can always follow up with your CSM. So I will pass it off to Joey to get started with the updates.
Thanks, Erin. Hello, everyone. I'm Joey Gudzak, Product Manager here at Beeswax. Now let's get started with line item V2. So I want to highlight some new key features that we've implemented for line item V2, starting with the line item create and edit workflow, where we'll see all the cool features we've added in line item V2. We'll highlight the line item summary screen, which is a new screen we've added. We'll touch upon a new quick stats tab for your line item. We'll dive into some analytics with our new spend chart. You'll see our new and improved activity log, along with some changes we made to the line item list view. And then we'll dive into another cool feature we've enhanced, which will be bulk edit. And then we can dive into the key dates after the demo. So with that, I'm going to make our way to get started with our demo. Now here you can see the line item list view. And to get started with creating a line item, you can go ahead and click New Line Item, where you'll be prompted our new line item modal. We simplified your initial setup to allow you to get quickly started with creating a new line. If you remember in V1, you'd just be redirected to an overview tab. But with this modal, you can start entering your advertiser, you can associate your campaign, and then go ahead and type in your line item name. I'm going to go ahead and type in Coca-Cola 1, line 1, and then below that, you can select the line item type. A really cool feature with this modal is our ability to remember what you have previously set up before. So previously, I selected a line item type of banner, and the modal will remember that, helping it make it easier for you to set up your line item. Additionally, with this modal, we've consolidated the programmatic guaranteed workflow into this modal. So you could toggle that yes or no if you'd like to make this line item programmatic guaranteed. Another cool feature we've added for this line item setup is the ability to quickly get started with creating another line item. To do so, you can click the dropdown and click Create and Start Another, which will save this line item as a shell, and then you could be prompted another modal to enter in your additional details and continue. But with this, we're just going to create and continue and move on to our new line item V2 workflow. Here you can see the workflow has changed, and we hope all the key changes that we've implemented will help save you time and make it easier for you to set up. Starting at the top, you can see the carried over functionality of our breadcrumb. You'll see the associated advertiser, the associated campaign, and how you're in the create line item workflow. Another thing to note at the header is showing the line item name, also allowing you to edit the name if you'd like. We also allow you to favorite the line item if you want to favorite it. And we'll show you the line item ID and the type, which for this scenario, we selected as banner. If you scroll over here to the right, you can see our status toggle, where you can see the requirements to activate your line item. Additionally, this kebab, if you click on it, you can duplicate or delete the line item if you'd like. Now moving below, you can see our campaign tab. This campaign tab dives into some of the campaign details you have associated to this line item. This is really useful because if you wanted to quickly reference what campaign details you have, you can reference that as you go through and set up your line item. Here we can see the campaign name, but along with the start and end date, the total budget of our campaign, along with the total spend, the remaining budget, and whether or not it has any impressions. What's also cool about this is you can quickly create a performance report, where if you click on that, will generate a performance report for your campaign. Now we scroll up here to the top, we can see select line item preset. Selecting a line item preset allows you to quickly set up your line item in a much quicker fashion. So let's go ahead and do so and apply a preset. Here, I'm going to apply the Coca-Cola preset, where I select that and see all the settings I can have pre-configured for this line item. We touch up on essential settings, flights, and additional details. Now, if I apply this preset, we can see it automatically populate instantly into this line item. Now, touching up on the General tab, we can expand all the elements within this tab and be able to see all the different fields you can enter in for your line item. Here, starting at the top, we have Essential Settings, where you can set up the required elements for your line item. One thing to note with this Essential Settings is for the budget type, we default to spend with including vendor fees. If you scroll down, you can see our new Flights accordion. Now, the Flights accordion is different from V1 because originally in V1 we had Flights as its own tab. But in V2, we've added some new functionality where you can see this new flight calendar, which shows the dates for your flights, along with the line item overview of total budget and the start and end date for your line item. This is really going to help you use this data to help you set up your flights going forward. Here you can see I have 5 flights already pre-configured, along with their start and end date. And you can see the start and end dates update in the flight calendars. What's really cool about this feature as well is we've added a dropdown of custom amount and spend all, where you can select a custom amount for each flight, or you can select spend all to spend the rest of your line item's budget. If you look below, we have the approximate remaining budget, where we show the remaining budget for your line. This is allowing you to help determine whether or not you have any budget left to spend as you go through and add flights. One last thing to note in our General tab is we've consolidated the vendor fees accordion and the custom event tab as well into the General tab. Now that we've set up some initial settings, we can save and continue and move forward to the targeting tab. Now, as you can see, the targeting tab is pretty similar to what we've implemented in V1, but we added a really cool feature where you can search targeting fields. If you scroll over to the search targeting fields and click into it, you can see a drop down of all the available targeting fields you can use and search for setting up your line item. Now, if I search for a targeting setting, for example, time of week, we can also favorite that setting so that we can quickly reference it if we'd like to. Now, if I click time of week, we'll be redirected to that tab, and we could set that targeting setting up if we'd like. If you scroll over here to the right, you can see show favorites and edit only. And if you enable that toggle, you can update your UI to only show that criteria. Additionally, we can select a targeting preset if you'd like to quickly set up your targeting settings. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to select Coca-Cola preset and see the preset summary of all the targeting settings I would like to set up. We're going to go ahead and apply that and see all the details populate on our summary page. Now we're going to go ahead and save and continue and be redirected to our modifiers tab. Now our modifiers tab is the same as our optimization tab in V1. We just renamed it modifiers. We also allow you to create new or choose an existing bid or delivery modifier. I'm going to go ahead and choose an existing modifier called Coca-Cola bid modifier and go ahead and save that for this line item. You can see it's successfully applied over here in the bottom right. Moving forward, I want to get into our new Creative Association tab. We made a lot of cool changes to this specific tab. If you can remember in V1, we had a lot of pain points around you were only able to associate a creative one at a time. We had a dropdown where you would search that dropdown, select one creative, and then scroll over to the right and apply that creative individually. With V2, we've added a brand new modal where if you click Add Creative Associations, you could prompt that modal and see our new setup for adding creatives. You can see the line item name and ID at the top, but then you'll also see our new table of all the creatives associated under the advertiser. Here we only have 2 creatives, but you can see the new table where you can see additional details for these creatives. We have the name and ID. We have the thumbnail images associated for each creative, the status of each creative, the size, the template of the creative, and the start and end date if those have been set up. Additionally, you can search each creative by creative name or creative ID. And additionally, you can favorite each creative if you like, and toggle the favorites to only show your favorites in this list view. But what's really cool about this feature is your ability to select more than one creative at once and apply that, which is a key pain point we wanted to address with this new workflow. I'm going to go ahead and select both creatives, but if I wanted to select all the creatives, I would click the checkbox above in the header. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and click Add Selected, where you'll see these creatives applied to the creative association. Here you can see a couple of new columns, such as creative weight. We default the creative weight to 100%, which is a new addition we've added for this specific tab. You can also remove all creatives at once if you'd like to do so. Now that we've associated our creatives, we're going to go ahead and save and continue. Now, once we save and continue, we'll be redirected to our brand new summary tab. Now, the summary tab is great because in V1, you weren't able to see all the settings you had previously set up for your line item. You may have to go back and search through each different tab to confirm your settings. But with our new summary tab, you can see all the settings up front and presented right here. You can see how we set up our general tab and set up essential settings and flights. You can scroll down to the targeting settings we've applied. And you can also see the bid modifier we applied along with the creatives we associated. If you scroll up, you can see 2 new call to actions where you can save as line item preset if you'd like to use these settings for a future line item. Additionally, if you scroll down, you can do the same with our targeting. So if you want to save these targeting settings as a preset as well to set up for future line items, you can do so as well. Now that we've reviewed some of the create workflow settings, we can dive into editing a line item. I'm going to go ahead and work my way to an active line item where we'll review all the key changes we made for the edit workflow. One thing to note here is the line item quick stats tab. Now, the line item quick stats tab was added so you could quickly see how your line item is performing up front. We show you the bids and wins on whether or not your line item is bidding and winning. We show the on schedule index to show you whether or not your line item is pacing correctly. And we also provide you with other key details for your line item, such as the start and end date, the total budget and its daily budget, and also the total spend of the line item and the leftover remaining budget for your line item as well as we show the total impressions. What's really cool about this quick stats tab is the performance report link. Now, if you want to quickly generate a report, you can click this link and be redirected to a performance report and have that curated report for your line item. Now, if we want to dive more into our analytics, you can click on the bids and wins section here in your quick stats tab and be redirected to your analytics, or you can select the analytics tab here and be redirected as well. Now, once we move to the analytics tab, you can see we've carried over the bids and wins chart from V1, but over here to the right, you can see this new spend chart. Now, the new spend chart is going to really help you optimize your workflow and allow you to make quicker decisions and easier decisions to help improve your line item. If we look at our current performance, we can highlight a specific part of the chart and see the tab of it showing budget, total spend, and incremental spend. Now, the budget will show in red, the total spend is going to display in green, and the incremental spend is going to display in yellow. Now, if you see this vertical line here, this line shows an action taken and who has taken that specific action and the date and time. Now, we also allow you to look back from the past 6 hours all the way back to the last 72 hours. Now, if we wanted to click on a specific part of the look back range, we can see our line item charts update, and the charts will update to correspond with the last time frame. Also, you can see our forecasting and bid decision flow has been carried over from V1, and we allow you to view those charts as well. Now I want to dive into our brand new activity log. Our activity log has been significantly improved to show you some additional details on who has made a specific change. Let's start with the new username and ID. Previously in V1, you were only able to view the ID of the user, but in this new activity log, you can see the username and email of that user. You can also see the date and time they made a specific change, and you can see the action they took. But what's really cool about our new activity log is the two columns right here, added and removed. You can see what has been specifically added and what has been removed. Whereas in V1, you can only see what has been added. If we scroll over here to the left, we categorize each field by category and field, and you could look at what's been particularly changed. So for example, we can see a bidding value for the CPM bid of 2 has been added, and we removed the value of 1. Another enhancement we added for our activity log is we consolidated the targeting activity log into this activity log tab. Particularly if you look at and scroll down, you can see the category of targeting and what has been changed. If we look at targeting time, we could see that the user time of week field has been changed, where we removed these values and added these values. And also, again, you can quickly reference who has made the change and the date and time. Now that we've reviewed some key features for our create and edit workflow, let's dive into some additional features we have. I'm going to make my way back to the line item list view, where we can look at our bulk edit workflow. To get to bulk edit workflow is the same as in V1, where you can select multiple line items, and you'll be prompted a bottom tab bar where you can select edit general and be prompted bulk edit. But if you can remember in V1, it was just a side panel. Here, if you click edit general, you'll be redirected to our new bulk edit workflow. You can see at the top the number of line items you selected for bulk edit, along with all the settings you can update for bulk edit. For bulk editing, we enable what's the same across each different line item, and what isn't, and what you'd like to update, you would have to click that particular element to enable it. What's also really nice about bulk edit is our additional functionality where you can update flights, as well as vendor fees and custom event association, which you weren't able to do previously. Another cool element we've added to bulk edit is if you look at our operation field. Now, the operation field helps you update more components to your line items. If you click here and enable it and added a particular flight, we can add that flight to all existing line items that are selected. Another operation you can select is remove all values. If you select remove all values, we'll remove all the flights associated to these line items. Additionally, you can click replace all values, and if you replace all values, whatever's been added here would replace all the other values from those line items selected. I'm going to go back to list view and show you some key list view enhancements. If you look at our list view, you'll see this new column called delivery status. Now, the delivery status column shows 3 different statuses of winning, not bidding, or not winning, which will indicate how your line item is performing. If you scroll over here to the right, you can see our new OSI column to see the pacing of the line item. Additionally, you can see the edit mode that we've carried over and implemented back into line item list view V2. To enable it, you just click the toggle, and you can see which elements you can quickly edit and update for your line item. Now, those are all the key changes I wanted to review for line item V2, and I hope this initiative really helps improve your workflow going forward. Now, if we make our way back to the PowerPoint, I'd like to show you some key resources and review some key dates for line item V2. Starting with some key dates, as you may know, we've released beta back in April 28th. But now we have GA coming up of September 15th. where we'll enable line item v2 for all of our users. Additionally, we have a migration deadline of Q3 of 2024. But just one thing to note is the backward capability of our API and UI, which means that if you'd like to use the V2 UI, you can still use your V1 API. So we don't have to go back and update your scripts. Moving on, some key resources to note. Line item V2, we have a new UI guide, which will outline all the new features we have implemented and changed. And this UI guide will help walk you through those specific changes. Additionally, we have that for the API as well. We have an API guide that outlines all the V1 API components and what has particularly changed in V2. Now we can move on to some Q&A.
Yep. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat now, and we'll get started with some questions. The first one we have is, you went over a bunch of enhancements, but what can I tell my team will be the biggest time saver that we'll get from this update?
That's a really hard question to answer because there's so many great enhancements within line item v2. Personally, my favorite has to be the creative association tab. I think what's going to save users the most time is being able to bulk associate creatives, which has been a key pain point I know for from line item v1. I would say the runner-up enhancement we've implemented is our activity log. In our line item v1 activity log, you weren't able to see the email of the user that made a particular change, and you weren't able to see what's been added or removed. And those are two key elements we've changed in our new activity log, where you could see not only the email, but what's been added and what's been removed.
Next question. How do I enable this for my buzz key?
Like I said, GA is coming up September 15th. So we're going to enable this for all buzz keys on that date, September 15th. But if you'd like to opt in earlier, you can reach out to your CSM and get opted in earlier. So
Awesome. So I think that kind of answers the question, another question that we have in the chat that was about if you can use the new UI in the campaign setup by September 15th, but we do have that date, so that is fine. And then the next one is, what is line item health check?
Right. Line item health check is a feature currently within our beta product. But essentially, it's a series of validations that the system will surface any issues within your line item setup. So it's only going to show for active line items, but we'll highlight any issues within your line that may prevent it from bidding and winning. So it's a really cool feature, and we're excited to enable it for our GA customers.
Awesome. In bulk edit, if there are any changes that couldn't go through, would the system warn me about it?
Yeah, great question. So previously in V1, you might experience some silent failures in list view edit mode or your bulk edit workflow. But we have since then improved it, so you will be properly alerted of any validation errors. So really enhance that feature.
Awesome. Are you making any other improvements to the line items, or is this going to be the final version?
No, we are continuously listening to our customers and our users on key feedback and improvements we can make. So we do have 2 additional features that we'll be launching. One is particularly called warning opt-out, where you can skip a warning and unsubscribe to a certain warning if you'd like. Additionally, we have more stats coming at the flight level. We're calling that flights quick stats, where we'll provide more stats at the flight level, as well as add a feature to carry over unspent budget and add that to the next flight. So 2 cool features coming up soon enough.
Awesome. Okay. When you first launched ListView V2, you removed the functionality to edit the line items in line. When are we going to have that back?
You'll be able to inline edit in line item list view once this line item goes GA, but currently it's also enabled for our bulk product as well, beta product, sorry, as well. So list view is in line item V2. It's enabled for this initiative, and you will be able to do that now going forward.
Awesome. Okay, it looks like we have a couple more. So on line items, on the line item summary page, we're able to click on performance report. Will it take us to the report screen or generate a preset report?
So it will redirect you to the performance report screen, and it will also curate that graph and screen into a specific, particularly for that line item, it will generate the report on that screen. So it'll redirect you to the performance report, but it'll be generated particularly, and all the settings will be set up for that line item.
Awesome. And then one last question. Does the dynamic toggle in bid, hold on. What does the dynamic toggle in bid modifier do? We can use it with lists, but when we don't have lists, what is it for?
That's a great question. I would have to loop back around to that particular feature to see that setting. I'm having trouble referencing that right now, but I can follow up after the webinar to that user and answer their question in more detail.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions? If you do have any, we have time to answer maybe one or two if you want to add it to the chat. If not, feel free to send your questions over to your CSM or account rep, and they'll be able to answer your questions individually. Doesn't look like we have any others coming through. So thank you everyone for joining. Just a couple of housekeeping items for this. We will be sharing the recording. I just saw a question come through about that. We will be sharing the recording to everyone who signed up following this session. So you'll receive it in an email. And then we will have some new webinars coming up in the next few months. So we will keep you guys posted on that. Be on a lookout for communication from Beeswax Marketing. And thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.